What's good, YouTube? Ben here. Welcome to the next video on the channel. In this one, I'm going to give you my next Steel Path viable build on Warframe. This is going to be for Plasma Sword. Let's get into this. So, Plasma Sword is not a good weapon at all. Most people do know that. But you know what? I thought, on occasion, I'm going to take a really bad weapon, slap a build on it, and see if I can use it in the Steel Path. And that's exactly what I've done with Plasma Sword. So, let's jump into the build. We've got Iron Phoenix as its stance with fast cutting attacks with puncture finish. We've got Prime Pressure Point for 165% melee damage, Galvanized Reflex for 50% heavy attack efficiency on melee kill, plus 20 initial combo for 20 seconds stacks to 4 times. We've got Galvanized Elementalist for 80% status damage on melee kill, plus 30% status chance for 20 seconds stacks up to 4 times. We've got Condition Overload for 80% melee damage per status type affecting the target. We've got Virulent Scourge for 60% Toxin and 60% status chance, Vicious Frost for 60% cold and 60% status chance, Magnetic Rush for 60% magnetic and 20% attack speed, and Weeping Wounds for 40% status chance per combo multiplier. So we're going to go for a status build primarily because the criticals on this thing are garbage out of the gate. In fact, the status isn't very good either, although this weapon does come with base electric, meaning I can stick magnetic and viral straight on it. We've got Melee Influence for rank 5 on melee electricity status, 20% chance for elemental melee status effects to apply to enemies within 20 meters for 18 seconds, cannot refresh while active. So that's going to, providing we can proc it, that's going to then spread my status effects to everything within range. But let's jump into the mission. I'll show you what this thing can do or what it can't do. Alright, so as per usual, we're here at Oxsmoker in the Void. Now, quickly explain why we're here. So the Void is one of the latest game areas in the game, so you're dealing with the Corrupted. And with the Corrupted, you're dealing with enemies with just health, enemies with health and shields, and enemies with high armor, giving you a more varied example of what your weapon / Warframe can do. Not to mention, I do label this as a viable build because it is viable to get you through Steel Path. Is this a good weapon to build? Absolutely not. But still, regardless of that, also, I want to note that the reason I'm using my Necros is because my Necros doesn't have any melee buffs, so it's just standard raw damage from him. But let's jump in. So, as you can see, standard stuff out the gate, it's not very strong. It's just not. Like, it takes a good minute to get going. However, once you get the status effects started, it actually doesn't fare too bad. Of course, for those who know Plasma Sword, it is not a good weapon. There are plenty of other better melee weapons to use. But again, on that flip side, when your status effects do spread, they actually do a decent amount of damage. Primarily because of the viral that we've added in. The viral is just going to help cut through like crazy. But yeah, for those who've used Plasma Sword, it's not a good weapon at all. It's such a base weapon. Like, it's good to get mastery, and that's about it. I mean, you can use it on the standard star chart, absolutely fine. But then again, you could also use pretty much any weapon on standard star chart and be okay. So, I mean,
stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
Like, standard star chart is just standard star chart. But as it pertains to weapons, can you use this weapon? Yeah. Should you? No. But look, when it pops off with the proc of spreaded effects, it actually is okay. But to be fair, that's because of the status damage we've got, not so much the weapon itself. Now, idealistically, you want a bunch of enemies grouped, because if they're grouped, if the statuses do spread, then it's going to hit the entire group, which is preferable. There we go. It's just started to spread to everything, I think. But, I mean, it's usable. There's not much for me to really talk about with this weapon is the issue. Like, it's a basic sword that basically does sword things. I mean, it just doesn't do them very well. To be fair, like, with the status spread we've got, it even melts through Eximus is, like, okay. Like, it goes through Eximus units alright, I guess. Like, it's not great, but it's not terrible either. Also, for anyone, I'm going to stay until the Acolyte comes as per normal. But I'm going to tell you now, I'm most likely going to die against the Acolyte because, what the heck? because this weapon just does not do tons of damage at all. If I survive, I'll be surprised. Of course, that is going to solely depend on what Acolyte I get, because... my issue is, even with a higher combo count, the statuses just aren't spreading that much. Because the weapon by default just has awful status and awful crits. Its percentages are just so freaking low. Like, I think there's a reason as to why this weapon's just not had a prime variant. Because it's just... I don't think they can fix it at this point, you know, because it's such an early weapon. Like, certain weapons got really fixed with their primed variants, but... unless they're literally just going to boost the base chances by a lot, I don't think there's much that anyone can do to solve this problem. I'm not going to lie. See, look, in that instance, everything spreaded, and it actually did okay, because it took out, like, quite a few enemies. But it's just fixing the spread to make it work. The issue is, I could remove my other statuses, but then I'd let go of a lot of the raw damage that I need. Because I considered doing that. It took me ages to put a build on this weapon that I was actually okay with using. Just because of how bad it is. But, like... I could remove the viral and the magnetic and just try and add raw status, but the issue I ran into there with was it was proccing a bit more frequently, sure, but it wasn't doing the damage because it couldn't. The thing with only running electricity on a melee weapon with influence is fine. Like, the whole premise of that is absolutely okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But the issue you run into is because of just raw damage not being there for this weapon, it makes it insanely more difficult to even try and do stuff like that. We've got Misery. Okay. Where is he? There. You absolute butt munch. See what I mean? Look at the damage we don't do to this guy. Like, you can melt his shields, but that's about all crap. I'm doomed. Holy moly. I need to move before I die. Give me health, please. Thank you. But yeah, like, we just don't do damage to this guy at all. Even with heavy attacks, you do nothing. So my advice is, if you're going to attempt to copy this build, come in with a weapon you can actually do some damage with. Because... I mean, I've not built Latum up, to be fair, so that's probably not great right now, but... there we go. Just come in with something you're actually going to be able to take out the Acolyte with, because... Plasma Sword, not the one for it. But, I mean, other than being like a really funny joke build, this is not much of anything. If you want to see more like this on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps that YouTube algorithm. Don't forget you can also support the channel even further by becoming a channel member from as little as 99 pence per month. And don't forget I do live stream. When I go live here on YouTube and over on Twitch and on TikTok all at the same time. My streams here on YouTube are in the shorts form feed, some more for mobile. If you want to catch the exact same streams at the exact same time in full 1080p, feel free to join me on Twitch or TikTok. Those links are in the description below.